My stay-at-home wife got offered a job that barely covers her own expenses but wants to uproot our kids from their friends and force me to transfer my medical practice, so now she's mad I won't fund her cross-country adventure. Posted by you/career-v-family. So, my wife was recently offered a job across the country, which requires relocation but also will have frequent travel obligations. My wife feels this would be a huge plus to her career, but the issue is we have 2 children, and my practice is here. What she will earn is not even half of what I currently make. She is currently not working, so I told her if she wants to take the job, she would have to help with childcare expenses, which would likely include a nanny because I sometimes work nutty hours depending on if I have a mandated hospital shift. She feels this is unfair because she would have to cover her own living expenses, and paying for childcare on top of that would leave her with very little. This job is not even providing a relocation bonus. She suggested we move, but everything we know is here. Our children have their friends here, and transferring my medical license is not all that simple. Her final suggestion is she takes the kids, I stay here and cover the cost of childcare and expenses because she claims childcare and cost of living is cheaper. Just not cheap enough for her potential salary to sustain me being a stay-at-home parent. I want to support her, but her suggestions seem half-baked to me. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, NTA. I would understand if you were a stay-at-home dad. That would be reasonable. I didn't really get, are you completely against her going to work, or this one specifically? If this one, then you are completely justified, especially considering that there are kids involved. Ripping them away from their friends is rude and unnecessary. Ops response, I am not against her working at all, just not in favor of moving to a different state. What are the long-term prospects staying locally for Ops' wife? Ops response, in what she wants to do, not great. She can leverage her engineering degree to work at a civil engineering firm doing consulting, but she did that prior, and she hated it. Her current offer actually would have her working on infrastructure and work on something with meaning. She is a female engineer and sick of working in consulting. She wants to do something that matters, but it is a big boys club here, which is a factor as to why she became a stay-at-home mom. Commenter 2, NTA. This seems like a really strange situation for a married couple with children to be in. On the face of it, your wife thinking her taking this job as a viable option is crazy. It clearly doesn't make sense in all of the ways that matter logistically, financially, emotionally. The fact she suggested she take the kids and you stay is very, very strange. So it makes me wonder what else is going on? Are you happily married? Has she been a stay-at-home mom for a while? Maybe she's worried about not being able to get back into the workforce and thinks she has to take any opportunity she gets? Have you sat down as a couple to discuss her getting a job and what that will look like for your family, what's important, etc.? Are you willing for your career to take the backseat for a while so she can re-establish herself in her career? Etc. etc. Lack of communication seems to be the issue here, but also maybe deeper-rooted problems in your marriage? Commenter 3, as a medical doctor, he could get a new job easily. He doesn't say this. There is more than one side here. Ops response, it actually is not that simple to just go practice in a completely different state. Where we would move to is not part of IMLC, Interstate Medical Licensure Compact. Also, I cannot just up and leave my patients like that also. Commenter 4, what is it about this specific job that has her willing to leave you on the other side of the country while she and the kids start a new life? Does she know somebody at this job? Or have connections in the area that you know of? Seems fishy to me. Ops response, from what she has told me, she was tapped for this position by her old professor and mentor from college. Op on if he has his own practice or works for someone else. Ops response, I have my own practice and also work and teach at our state learning hospital. Director of Multiple Sclerosis Center and Director of Neurology Residency Program. I specialize in MIS. I am sure many would understand, but many of them would be disappointed, and it would take time for me to find someone that is willing to do this, especially at the rates I take. Not many here take Medicaid. How old are Ops' children? Ops response, 5 and 8. Update, 3 days later. Brief update since I got some requests. Not much has changed. I spoke with our kids, and of course they like it where we are. They are kids. The reason my wife wants to take this job is because she feels due to the nature of how she got the offer, her old professor/mentor, and that she is also a female engineer, she understands her position. My wife is free to do what she pleases. She does not need my permission, but by no means can she expect us to uproot everything on the drop of a dime. I would never ask that of her. I did suggest she tries and create her own firm here and find like-minded individuals who share a similar experience and create the work environment she wants. She is concerned she won't be able to break through that barrier of entry. I told her we could find a means to fund said venture, but logistics of moving does not make sense at this time. I would need at minimum a year to get my affairs in order. I'm working on research, working on opening an infusion center near the hospital that would take every insurance. This is a big one for me since many of the infusion centers near us do not take certain insurances since they pay so little. Looking to possibly expand my MS clinic with more providers who are willing to do this labor of love for our community. I cannot just drop all of that. I did tell my wife I have no intention of stopping her, and if she wishes to go, that is fine, but I would not be sustaining 2 households. If she moves, she would be responsible for all costs associated with the move. I will cover our shared expenses and primary residence, and that is all. I will cover everything here, and she would be responsible for her own expenses. I told her I would probably also lower or get rid of the credit cards also since I know her. She would live off credit if she had to. I threw out the option if she can request she works from home 3 out of the 4 weeks she is not traveling, and we can take it slow. See what the housing market is like, see what schools look like, normal stuff you do before moving. She was not in favor of waiting since allegedly they need her answer by October. I have no desire to divorce, but I am a child of divorce and was raised by my dad. Overall, his outlook on divorce has always been no point fighting if the person has already checked out. If my wife wants out, I will respect that. My wife has only been a stay-at-home parent for around 5 years. She worked when we had our firstborn and well into the pregnancy of our second. She took maternity leave. When that was done, she went back to work. A few months after her return, she was passed over for a project/contract she did the legwork to secure, which led her to quit and stay home with the kids. Our kids have been in daycare, under grandparents' care. My mom took 2 years to help with our firstborn. Her parents took off time for our second. Our second has been in academic daycare, as she puts it, since they were 3. So it's not like she doesn't get breaks or is always with the children alone. My hours can be chaotic, but I made her well aware of this when we started to date and progress. When we started to date, I was already vested in our community. My gut tells me she is going to take the job, and yes, it possibly will lead to divorce, and if that is the case, given how much traveling she will be doing, I suspect I would be granted primary custody. I would not take child support from her. I have no desire or need for it. Sorry for the stream of consciousness. It is slightly disjointed because this is a frustrating position to be in. I have no desire to be in this position, but I have other responsibilities I cannot just drop without proper notice. If it comes to divorce, that is the way it played out, and you just roll with it. As my parents told me, I will tell my kids just because they were no longer together does not mean either of them loved me any less. Granted, it was not a cross-country thing in our case. My parents lived blocks away from one another. It was a pretty easy transition on my part. I hope we can do the same for our kids if need be. The deal is far worse than I thought, but it is a small startup thing with a small team who won the project since they took a huge cut on their profits. So pay is actually a lot less than half what I make. More like 1/3 of what I make, if that. So I can see how she cannot afford to cover any shared expenses. She probably will barely be able to cover her own expenses. We will see, but all signs point to her taking the job, and we will just adjust, but if divorce happens, it happens. That is life. I do love my wife, but she is her own person with free will. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, so she wants to move across the country to take a job that wouldn't even sustain her alone? Ops response, she barely will be able to sustain herself, allegedly just a temporary thing until they establish themselves as a firm/company first. Commenter 2, if she takes the job, just be careful. See a lawyer about protecting assets in case of divorce, because my guess is she is by herself, across the country, no kids. It's like the old saying, when the cat's away, the mice will play. Ops response, if it comes to that, I would not fight it. I will give her half of what she is entitled to. Probably would also just buy her out of the house also. Not going to sweat the little things. She clearly does not like it here. She wants more. That is fine. Commenter 2, I was thinking more about your business and retirement. I hope I'm wrong, but also was thinking of doing it behind your back, not asking for divorce. Ops response, that is a good point. Was not thinking about that. Op responds to a downvoted comment on what his wife gave up when he was in medical school. What has she done to help contribute to the household? Ops response, we were friends when I was in medical school. We were not dating. She did not quit her job until our second child was born, and even that was after a year or so. Leaving my obligations on such short notice is not possible and far from professional. For us to move, I would at minimum need a year. Our kids have been in daycare since they were 3, and we had grandparent support for each child. She is not isolated or anything. Yes, I understand she wants a professional career, but this job by all metrics is a bad deal. Commenter 3, what are your hours now, and what will they be after you expand your clinic? You said your hours were already chaotic, so I'm just curious. Ops response, outside of my mandated hospital shifts, I am home no later than 7. So around 7 to 7. Once they go to sleep, I may respond to patient messages, review and update notes from 12 to 2 once a week. Sometimes I do work weekends since some of my patients are working parents, so that is the only time they can come in, but that is like 8 to 11 a.m. I only have a handful of weekend patients. That is a once a month thing. Edit, I know it is less than ideal, but I have my reasons for going this far. My grandfather had MS, and it was rough for him. Commenter 4, I would reconsider child support when the time comes. Your children are young. If you take the child support and do something towards their future, investments or such, it could dramatically change their lives. Regardless of how much you earn, save, etc., with young children, it seems like there will be many challenges that we didn't have to face, and a bit extra may make an enormous difference in their lives and future. Ops response, maybe ego or pride, but if we divorce over this, I will not request child support and let her use that money how she sees fit. Hopefully she would do what is best for our kids. I don't want to take money from her if we separate when she claims she could not afford it. I would want to limit my interactions with her as much as I can. If she does not pay, I don't want to have to chase her, request hearings if she does not pay, or deal with her possible adjustments. Thankfully, I've been saving for our kids from day one. I will consult my attorney if it does come to it though.